Are you facing the daunting task of buying a car in this crazy environment? You'll want to stick around and check out this video. My name is Ben Smith with Cove Financial Planning, and I was in that same boat a few short months ago. My wife and I went from a one-car household to a two-car household out of necessity as we're back in the office and back into the swing of things. And so today I want to talk about buying a new car or leasing versus buying used in this unusual market environment with both new and used cars. So three big takeaways for today. Number one is consider financing. Whether you buy new, buy used, rates are at historic lows. So if you've got good credit and you have the cash flow to accommodate a loan payment with an auto loan, consider financing. You're going to get great terms more than likely. Number two, be really strategic with your trade-in. So if you are lucky enough to be at the tail end of your maybe 3-year lease, we'll talk through a couple ways to be really smart about the trade-in value, to leverage your power over some dealerships here. And then number three, if you've always wanted to buy a new car or lease, now's not the worst time to do it. So I think buying used is still probably in your best interest long term, but we'll talk through some of those things. So first and foremost, consider financing on a loan. If you have cash flow to allow for it, you're going to get likely a rock bottom interest rate if your credit score is solid. Even though used car prices have risen about 20% year over year, so you're going to pay 20% more today than you did last year in August. That's due to semiconductor shortages, some logistical problems here in the States, and then of course high demand. People like my wife and I need to get a car, so we're in the market. So still makes sense to buy used if you're looking at a couple years old, more than likely. In the first 3 to 4 years, usually about 40 to 50% of the depreciation of a car's value will have already occurred. So if you're buying used, make it a couple years old, there's a warranty still included, all the better. If you do have a trade-in, if you're at the end of your lease, keep in mind a lot of folks are negotiating with their dealership on trade-in figures. They might offer incentives for another car purchase on the back end. They might go to a third-party dealership or a company like CarMax to help process and sort of facilitate the buyout at a higher price than your residual value on your vehicle. So if your vehicle's residual value is $25,000, but somebody would go buy that vehicle in the open market for $28,000 or $29,000, a place like CarMax or any others might say, hey, we're going to help you buy this out and pay the difference. So you might make a few $1,000s by kind of foregoing the dealership turn-in, buying it out, and then of course selling it to some other dealership. So the third point, if you've always wanted to buy new or lease a new car, I know there's a stigma associated with that. It's not the worst time in the world to do that. I mentioned used car prices are up 20% year over year. Meanwhile, new car prices are only up about 5 or 6% over the past year. So if you can get a great warranty on a new car and you're not going to break the bank and you can afford perhaps the loan payment or the lease on a 3-year, for example, now's not the worst time in the world to consider that based on your situation. So I myself, if it's worth knowing, I bought a used car, a couple years old, really happy with it, and that fit in well with my financial plan. But everybody's different. So if you have questions or want to talk a little bit more about your own situation and what the best route would be on a car purchase, feel free to reach out to me at ben@coveplanning.com.